to see if Christopher Schurr will be charged again after his recent mistrial. There are many questions that remain unanswered. Schurr is the former Grand Rapids police officer who was charged with second-degree murder after shooting Patrick Lyoya in 2022, as Lyoya tried to flee the scene of a traffic stop and tried to commandeer the officer's taser. The prosecution tried to convince a jury that Schurr unnecessarily created the conditions that led to Lyoya's death. But that's a statement the defense calls dangerous. They say Schurr only killed Lyoya to save his own life. News Channel 3's Colin Roos spoke to a defense attorney about what that means as more and more officers find themselves on trial. Colin.
Yeah, good evening, Andy. An expert for the state called it officer-created jeopardy. Now, under his definition, that's when police take risks without justification that make use of force more likely, and they become criminally responsible when it results in death. It's a concept drawing controversy nationwide, but the prosecution said it applied to Schurr. In reviewing body cam footage from the shooting, law professor and former officer Seth Stoughton said Schurr was correct in pulling over Lyoya initially. But once Lyoya began to run, he claimed Schurr made several unreasonable errors. Stoughton said he should have checked Lyoya's car for other passengers before chasing him. He said he shouldn't have used his taser at close range and should have given a warning before shooting his gun. For Stoughton, all of these hurt Schurr's claim of self-defense.
Regardless of what happens after, an officer can use a poor tactic that is officer-created jeopardy that creates an unavoidable and unjustified risk.
But Schurr's defense lawyer fought to exclude that evidence before the trial. Matthew Borgula said in a press conference he feared the repercussions it could have for future officer-involved cases and whether they would be afraid to use force when necessary.
This officer-created jeopardy is incredibly dangerous, not only for police officers who are asked to put themselves in dangerous positions, but for the community.
Criminal defense lawyer Randall Levine says it's mostly uncharted legal territory, and the courts are trying to catch up.
I think the law is developing based on what has happened in this country.
He says current Michigan law says a police officer's self-defense conduct is no different than anyone else's. Levine says it all comes down to whether Schurr reasonably believed his life was threatened.
Whether it's an officer or a private citizen, you can't do anything to create the harm.
Levine says it's unclear whether officer-created jeopardy will be ruled on by the Supreme Court anytime soon. He says for now, the bottom line is that policing is dangerous, and modern technology means police will have eyes on everything they do.
It's easy for people to Monday morning quarterback and to look at this in hindsight. That's not the reality of police work.